So Zarathustra basically is, as a character in the prologue, is what's really important is he said that Zarathustra is a child. The reason I wanted you to pay attention to that is because of the three metamorphoses. Zarathustra is an enlightened man that goes off into the cave for 10 years and reaches and attains enlightenment. And what he comes back to preach us is that God is dead. Again, that the idea of
Ronald Reagan.
And to disrespect the body is heavenly things, and to disrespect the body is actually the greatest sin of all. This is the beginning of the ideas of like, dude, like these preachers talking about sin and about heavenly things and talking about the soul. It's all bullshit. Like, what you need to do is you need to free yourself from the burdens of these things. You also need to free yourself from nihilism, and instead instantiate the Superman, instantiate your own values, instantiate your own beliefs. Ultimately, I think he was wrong, but it's just me. Who am I? Just one man in the void screaming into the void. But that is the kind of the beginning of that. Now, the Three Metamorphoses is a bit of a poetry to describe the process of creating the Ubermensch. And that is the load-bearing beast like a camel, the lion that kills the dragon of thou shalt, which is, the church, the institutions, and then the curious child. And I want to read this poem here in a minute, and then we can talk about it a little bit more. But this poem is kind of, if you understand this poem, you kind of understand Thus Spake Zarathustra, though it's a great book and you should read it anyways. This is kind of the thesis, I would say, of the work. So, the Three Metamorphoses. Three metamorphoses of the spirit do I designate to you. How the spiriteth becometh a camel, the camel a lion, and the lion at last a child. Many things are there for the spirit, the strong, load-bearing spirit, in which reverence dwelleth. For the heavy, and the heaviest longeth its strength. What is heavy? So asketh the load-bearing spirit. Then kneeleth it down like the camel, and wanteth to be well laden. What is the heaviest thing, ye heroes? Asketh the load-bearing spirit, that I may take it upon me and rejoice in my strength. It is not this, to humiliate oneself in order to mortify one's pride, to exhibit one's folly in order to mock at one's wisdom, or is it this, to desert our cause when it celebrateth its triumph, to ascend high mountains to tempt the tempter? Or is it this, to feed on the acorns and grass of knowledge, and for the sake of truth to suffer hunger of soul? Or is it this, to be sick and dismiss comforters, and make friends of the death who never hear thy requests? Or is it this, to go into foul water, and it is the water of truth, and not disclaim cold frogs and hot toads? Or is it this, to those who despise us, and give one's hand to the phantom when it is going to frighten us? All these heaviest things the load-bearing spirit taketh upon itself. And like the camel, which, when laden, hasteneth into the wilderness, so hasteneth the spirit into the wilderness. But in the loneliest wilderness happeneth the second metamorphosis. Here the spirit becometh a lion. Freedom will it capture, and lordship in its own wilderness. Its last lord it here seeketh, hostile will it be to him, and to its last god. For victory will it struggle with the great dragon. What is the great dragon, which the spirit is no longer inclined to call Lord and God? Thou shalt is the great dragon called, but the spirit of the lion saith, I will. Thou shalt lieth in its path, sparkling with gold, a scale-covered beast, and on every scale glittereth golden. Thou shalt. The values of 1,000 years glitter on those scales, and thus speaketh the mightiest of all dragons. All the values of things glitter on me. All values have already been created, and all created values do I represent. Verily, there shall be no I will any more. Thus speaketh the dragon. My brethren, wherefore is there need of the lion in the spirit? Why sufficeth not the beast of burden, which renounceth and is reverent? To create new values that even the lion cannot yet accomplish, but to create itself freedom for new creating. That can be the might of the lion do. Thanks. Thanks, Luder. To create itself freedom and give a holy nay, even unto duty. For that, my brethren, there is need of the lion. To assume the right to new values, that is the most formidable assumption for a load-bearing and reverent spirit. Verily, unto such a spirit it is praying, and the work of a beast of prey. As its holiest, it once loved thou shalt. Now it is forced to find illusion and arbitrariness even in the holiest things, that it may capture freedom from its love. The lion is needed for this capture. But tell me, my brethren, what the child can do, which even the lion could not do. Why hath the praying lion still to become a child? Innocence is the child, and forgetfulness, a new beginning, a game, a self-rolling wheel, a first movement, a holy yea. Aye, for the game of creating, my brethren, there is needed a holy yea unto life, its own will. Willeth now the spirit, his own world winneth the world's outcast. 3 metamorphoses of the spirit have I designated to you. How the spirit became a camel, the camel a lion, and the lion at last a child. Thus spake Zarathustra, and at that time he abode in the town which is called the Pied Cow. All right, so that is. Well, I appreciate it, Luder. So that is the 3 metamorphoses. The basic premise here, right, is that under religion, we have created thousands of years of glittery golden scales of thou shalts on the dragon of order, right? We have said to ourselves, we've tried and tested every conceivable way that society could work, every direction we could go, every right and wrong, and we've created, yes, Sanguine, you just missed the 3 metamorphoses, and we've created values for ourselves, for our society. And the load-bearing camel says, govern me harder, daddy, right? Says, I believe in religion, I believe in faith. What can I do to be a holy person? I could carry more on my back and I can do what I'm fucking told. But when you go off into the wilderness, right, you start to seek truth and you start to seek freedom. And eventually you metamorphosize into a lion, the lion that slays the dragon of thou shalt. And you need that beast that destroys institutions, that destroys the church, that questions everything, that destroys the society we live in, that goes after institutions. And it's good and bad, right? It says religion has fucked us over, or the systems are, oppressing us. The government is ruining us, right? And it destroys these institutions and says, no, fuck you, I willeth. My own will is more important than your commands. And fuck all of the things society has told for me. And then, in order to not fall into nihilism, in order to not become like this radical Marxist kind of deconstructing every institution in society until you fall into a pit of your own deconstructionist nihilistic bullshit, you have to create your own values. You have to look at it and you have to say, this is who I am. This is what I value. This is what I want. This is how I should behave. And agree or disagree with him, this is kind of what he's setting up, is that you have to become the Superman. You have to transcend the lion that kills the dragon of thou shalt and instead become a child, curious, a child that can create, quote, what is it? A child has forgetfulness, a new beginning, a game, a self-ruling wheel, a first movement, a holy yay. Because the lion that's obsessed with the institutions can only say no. You have to be willing to say yay. You have to be willing to create new art, create new values, create new personalities, create new systems and structures. And so that's kind of honestly, it's kind of the premise of the book itself is following that structure and getting into more detail.
I'm glad I suggested this for the evening.
This is personally my favorite piece from Nietzsche. I love this kind of like poem, if you will, if you want to call it that. And it's something I reference. It's something I reference often in my streams. If you pay attention when I'm talking about, like, because one of the things that I see in society when reading this poem is the load-bearing camel is your typical Fox News conservative, right?
Oh, fuck him. Oh, wit.
Your typical Fox News, Twitch politics conservative is the load-bearing camel, right? It says, no. We have a religion. We have a value system. We have thousands of years of tradition and history. Like, it is my duty. It is my responsibility to carry the load and to do what I'm told and to follow these things that have been working for thousands of years. Don't fuck it up. And your typical like lefty is the lion. It's an evolved form of man from the beginning, right? It's smarter. It's intellectual. It says, hey man, a lot of those things are bullshit, right? A lot of those things that you think are working out great aren't working out great for everybody. And fuck you in telling me what is sin and what is my life. Like I cry and weep for freedom. And it's stuck. A lot of the left is stuck in destroying institutions that it deems oppressive. And then there's that relatively rare and few person, obviously myself as an enlightened being, but no, there's that relatively rare person that is evolving into a child, trying to create their own values, trying to find their own place in the world, trying to find things that they value and love and create and want to build, not just destroy. And that is the child. That's the final metamorphosis of man. And it's a rare thing amongst us. You just watched a clip from our Twitch channel, Fabian Liberty. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe here on YouTube, or go ahead and give us a follow on twitch.tv/Fabian Liberty.